every single day. Congratulations, man, from Marrakesh. Hey, hello, Jefferson. Hello, Elio. Hello, Bruno. Hello, Felipe. Hello, Borut. Hello, Albert. Hello, Christine. Hello, Evelyn. Hello, Tiago. Christine also has been here every single time. Awesome. Thanks, everyone. Maybe all the other people here have been here all the time. So what I want you to do is to say hello in the chat, right? If you're watching me here inside the events, right? Say hello in the chat. Hey, Bruno. Say hello in the chat. I'm if everything's working, we're transmitting this on YouTube and LinkedIn and Facebook. So wherever you are, maybe you're like, I'm here on Rafael Del Nero channel, and who's this guy speaking? Yes, I'm not Rafael. I'm Bruno. So for all the community from Rafael, we are also streaming to Rafael Del Nero YouTube account. So thanks for being here. Thanks, Rafael, for being here for streaming this with us too. So good to have you all here. So, hey, Tiago. Hey, Borut. Hey, Bruno. Nice to see you too. All right. So, feel free to ask questions wherever you are. I'm going to try to be monitoring all the chats, right? If you're asking questions in the chat and I'm not seeing you, maybe you can just come here. There's a link for the event. Actually, maybe you're not seeing the link, right? So, let me quickly start by this. Before I introduce our guest, let me quickly share my screen here and just to show you the link for you to join here. I have a little QR code here that you can join us here. And where is it? Okay, here. All right. So, oh no, that's not what I wanted. Yes. That's the wrong one. Wrong link. Okay. All right. I don't know what I did with the link. Sorry about that. Anyway, so okay. Here I found it. All right. Now I got the right link. Okay. Sorry about that. I think just too many windows open. So basically, if you're watching us from YouTube or LinkedIn or anything like this, and you want to join us here at the event where you can participate with us, we can join the conversation, then you might want to go to this link here, right? jav.mn/friends-2021, right? So it's an open conversation with top experts in the industry, my friends to you, right? I'm sharing my friends with you because we're all friends here, right? So you get on this QR code. So, those amazing people, they have given a little bit of their time to be here, to answer questions, to help you on your career, right? So I'm very, very happy to introduce our guest today, right? And that's Victor Orozco. Is that how to say Victor?
No, actually Orozco.
Orozco. Victor Orozco. Yeah, I know. I need to brush my Spanish, right? My Spanish is terrible. Victor Orozco. So I'm here with Victor. Hey, Victor. Victor's a Java champion. He's community leader in Guatemala. He's also coordinating the Java track on the Developers Conference next week. So, Victor, thanks a lot, man, for being here with us.
Thank you to you for inviting me, and thank you for the people that is attending the streaming live, and to everyone that watches this after the transmission. But hello, everyone, and we are glad to have you here. And today we are discussing Java, careers, cloud native, and some topics among this. So welcome, and please ask your questions in the chat, in YouTube, and every other channel during this transmission. So that's it.
Awesome. So, Victor, let me go directly for a question that I get a lot of times, right? So you mentioned cloud native right now, and I hear from a lot of Java developers is saying, well, do I need to learn this Java stuff, this cloud stuff, right? I'm a Java EE developer. Do I need to move things into the cloud? There's all new technologies like Kubernetes and containers and all this stuff. So, how important it is for us to learn cloud skills on our career those days.
Okay, let me start this with a reflection. Most of the times, software developers, we tend to focus only on technology. And to be clear, nowadays, if you speak about Kubernetes, Docker, cloud native, serverless, and all of these kind of development models and deployment models, you are actually in the hot topics. The thing is that before doing everything cloud native, one of the mistakes that I see on most of the teams in the consultancy work that I do, and I see a lot on the internet, is that everyone is trying to be cloud native, but actually you have to find the right problem to solve with cloud native. As you stated, I am a Java developer. I'm pretty comfortable doing just deployments on application servers, on on-premise installations. I'm also comfortable doing development of Java pure applications on containers over cloud native on premises. So it depends actually on the problem that you are trying to solve. That's my start reflection. On the other hand, as developers, we need to be in line with the market. And if the market is demanding skills in cloud native, in any cloud provider management, is because the need is actually being created. And that's basically because applications rule our life. And we as developers, we create value by managing information. And when we manage information, we tend to create value because we accelerate the connections between organizational units, users with providers. And when we create value through connections, we are actually reaching a lot of people nowadays. So the principal motivation on this trend on cloud native, it's basically a scale, because the cloud native movement is actually a movement that is creating a set of the standards, patterns, good practices, among other topics that actually help us to create applications that scale. So everything depends on the scale. And I think if you want to be, a good developer, you want to create good solutions without focusing too much on the tools, but on the value, you have to learn cloud native architectures. I've been spending my short career, because I'm actually arriving to my 10th anniversary, I guess, being a software developer on the street. And I've seen a lot of trends. I saw the trends of application servers. I saw the trends on deploying on containers, pure containers, not Docker containers, about the time when Solaris was presenting containers, Linux presenting the LXC containers. And we are basically trying to solve the same problem, scale. So we try to create and reunite all of this knowledge. And that's basically the cloud native movement in a short description.
Okay, that's good. And so, you mentioned a lot about scale and all of that. So, can you tell us a little bit, because the whole notion of the cloud native, it has like a basic scalability architectures and ideas, right? So, what is the main vision behind cloud native? When it's it's a single architecture, or is a multiple possibilities of architectures, or anything that I do can be called cloud native? So how would you define cloud native itself?
Okay, cloud native by itself, it's a marketing term, and it's an easy way to say I am creating application that will be deployed on any cloud provider, because I probably be needing a cloud provider to scale and offer my application in the entire world or an entire country, depends on what size are you working. The thing is with cloud native that we are actually trying to create reactive applications. If you go and you buy a lot of books about cloud native movement or cloud native architectures, you will find the term reactive applications a lot. And reactive applications are a combination between the means, the value that they provide, and the consequences on providing that value. And actually there is a small scheme that you see a lot in reactive application development courses, in which they put an emphasis in creating applications that are scalable to using a reactive architecture, in which the basis of all the communication is the traffic that you receive, or the quantity of of users that you are just receiving in your systems, and you have the traffic as the driver that creates fault tolerance and the driver that creates elasticity in your architecture. These two features are considered the main features to create an scalable applications in which, in the end, you provide value to your users by dividing your applications in modules. So basically, we are using the horizontal scalability principle in which we divide the software in different modules. But right now we talk about microservices, we talk about containers, we talk about orchestrators, but in the end we are speaking about reactive applications. So when you say I am into the cloud native movement, you are probably in a movement in which there are technologies that help you to create modular applications. There are microservice chassis that actually help you to create and develop these applications. There are tools and clouds in which you deploy these applications. It doesn't matter if you are using Kubernetes, pure orchestration by Docker, or Docker Compose, Rancher, and any other mechanism, or including serverless application. Actually, you are fragmenting your application to obtain horizontal scalability in each of these modules. So we are basically creating distributed systems, and Cloud Native is actually a movement to create distributed systems by using new tools, new patterns, and new ideas.
Okay, that's awesome. Let me quickly say a quick hello here. I see some people from on YouTube, right? So hello, Oscar from the Netherlands. Hello, Caio from Brazil, right? There's a question here from Mokhtar, and he says, server-based apps versus cloud-based apps. What's the difference?
Okay, actually, there is a difference in when you are developing an application for server-based and, let's say, on-premise application, and where you are creating for the cloud. The first thing that you have to consider when developing an application for the on-premise market, let's say for a server that you manage, doesn't matter if it is a VPS application or on-premise in your installations server, you have control over the environment. And actually, there is a publication that made by Heroku that they are pioneers in this environment of cloud native applications, in which they have 12 factors of cloud native applications. And when you travel through the 12 factors of Heroku, you will see that most of the cloud native principles are about doing your application in a way that it doesn't depend on the environment. So when you create a cloud native application, being a serverless application, a Kubernetes/Docker application, you actually have to follow principles in order to not depend too much on the environment. So let's put an example to be clear. When you create a traditional Java application in which you are reading, for instance, a PDF file, an image, a video, if you do it with the classical mindset in which you are developing server-based applications, you are actually writing a lot of code that will depend on how do you access to the underlying operating systems. But on the other hand, if you do it in the cloud-based on cloud-native application, you will be actually working with drivers, abstractions, in which you will be probably storing your files in some kind of managed storage, like Amazon S3 being the most famous, or another implementation. And most of the times, following these cloud-native principles is about creating independent applications independent of the environment. So for me, that's the principal difference. Most of the patterns that we learn through developing software, like externalization of configuration, serverless implementations, and whatever other tool that we'll be receiving in the following years, are probably based on this same principle. Tools nowadays are most like a collection of services. If you see the models of deployment from Oracle Cloud, from Amazon, and any other provider, for instance, you will see that most of these offer collections of services. And these collections have some abstractions in which you have to be accustomed to develop software over these abstractions in order to gain independence from the environment and actually attaining a cloud-native state in which your application, it doesn't matter if we're running on Microsoft Cloud, on Amazon's Cloud, on Oracle's Cloud, or you could actually go multi-cloud. All in the end is about independence of the environment.
Okay, that's awesome. All right, so everyone here, if you have any questions for Victor, right, please ask questions here. Right, I see lots of people watching on YouTube, lots of people watching on Twitter, on LinkedIn, right? So ask your question, right? Ask questions here. I see some other people showed up here. Hey, Marcelo. I see also Jared. I think Evelyn and Elio. Lots of other people showing up here. So great to have all of you here. Awesome. So Victor, let me ask one thing. You build your career on doing communities, and you build your career around Java and now around Cloud Native. Do you think that we have a very, very strong community around Java? Is there a very strong community also around Cloud Native today?
Yeah, actually, the funny thing about communities is that you tend to find the same people each time because communities take time to build up. Mm-hmm. So when you see people from the Cloud Native community, you actually will find a lot of people from the Java community or the JavaScript community, for instance. But yeah, when all of these providers created the Cloud Native Foundation, they are actually creating it in order to create a community about Cloud Native implementations. Mm-hmm. Nowadays, these kind of events mostly circulate around serverless platforms, Kubernetes platforms, Kubernetes providers, and most of the conferences about it are created about these kind of tools. But I think that different to other communities, the Cloud Native community is actually a hub among communities because, Cloud Native is a way of thinking, a way of architectural design. And I see a lot of developers from any other community that are joining the Cloud Native Foundation, the Cloud Native events. And actually, I think that we finally have a community to share our ideas. If we see the Cloud Native movement in perspective, all started when Netflix teaches how to create microservices. This was way before the creation of Docker, way before the creation of Kubernetes, Apache Mesos, and all of these kind of implementations. But when Netflix published his paper and presented it on the conference about how to scale in the scales on Netflix, that was the start of the community. So after that, I've seen that a lot of tools have been created, and that's because the Cloud Native environment is about competition. And I've seen that in the Java space a lot. And actually, competition is good because, if we compare side by side the Java space with the cloud community space, I see a lot of similarities because when a technology is popular not because it's cool. A technology is popular because it solves a problem. If you have a community that is well designed, that has funding, but doesn't solve any practical problem, that community, sadly, it won't be too long to disappear. I've seen that in software development. I've seen that in programming languages. So I think that's the main difference between, successful software communities like Java and Cloud Native. The advantage about Cloud Native is because, like being a hub, you actually have a good starting point because you don't have to demonstrate that this works for a lot of people because people is joining together in order to say, hey, I'm doing that with JavaScript. I'm doing that with Java. I actually do a lot of implementation in which they develop services in Node.js. They develop services in Go and, of course, in Java. But I think that's the good thing about the Cloud Native community, that they are actually creating an umbrella to host a lot of technologies, and that's why I'm trying to join more the Cloud Native community.
Okay, that's awesome, right? Yeah, there's a few questions here about that. So let me go here. I'm going to skip the questions about the servers in a minute, but because I think Bruno's question is like more basic on this regard, right? So then we can go to other questions here. So Bruno says, Victor, what do you recommend to study in order to gain a good background on cloud native app development?
Okay, I actually have a slide to reference this, but it's in Spanish, so I'll try to explain it. But first of all, you have to start with the right questions. You are actually not creating cloud native applications. You are creating reactive systems. When you recognize that you are creating reactive systems, all of the tools that make the cloud native community will make sense to you. Because in order to have a methodology to develop cloud native application, I will recommend the 12 factors by Heroku, because these 12 factors act like a roadmap in order to describe you which characteristic do you need to implement a complete architecture or a complete migration from traditional systems to cloud native. After the cloud native, the 12 factors cloud native from Heroku, I will recommend cloud native design patterns. Many of the terms that you will hear from microservices chassis, from tools, from service meshes, all related to solve a practical problem, to implement better the microservices patterns. Patterns like fault tolerance, like one database per service, like REST invocation, remote procedure invocation. All of these are patterns, and many of the tools are actually implementations on those patterns. And patterns are created to solve a specific problem. So after having a methodology, learning the patterns, just after that, I will recommend you to search for the specific tools. The specific tools nowadays are basically three. The first one will be an orchestration platform. The most popular but not the unique platform that exists is Kubernetes. The second one will be a microservice chassis. Let's say a framework or a library that will help you to create microservices or serverless-based applications with your favorite programming language. And the final tool will be a service mesh. A service mesh runs side by side with your application and complements your service chassis in the orchestration platform. Many of these, I could put names, for instance, in the Java world. In the Java world, we have the most famous microservice chassis being Spring Boot. We have other alternatives like microprofile-based projects like Quarkus or Helidon, but these somehow have to run in a cloud. And to run in a cloud, we have many options. We have serverless frameworks. We have Kubernetes-based frameworks being the most popular nowadays. I'm not sure if they will be the de facto standard because we don't have de facto standards in software development community. But I will say start with the principles, cloud native factors, React applications, and domain-driven design patterns and cloud native patterns. Just after that, go for the tools because the tools are actual implementations of the solutions. That's what I did actually.
Okay. Well, so Bruno says show this slide, right? Because Bruno is it's probably from Brazil. I don't see where he's from, but so then he will probably be able to read your Spanish slide. So if you have a site, actually, if you see here on the corner here, you have Victor's site, right? vorosco.com. You can search him out there. I'm sure you're going to find the slide there, right? Right, Victor? Oh, that's the slide right there.
Yeah, I am presenting the slides. As I said, these are in Spanish because I actually do a lot of trainings for software development teams here in Latin America, especially in Central America and Mexico. But the main idea is this one, the Victor's methodology. First, focus on the problem. The problem is you have to scale your application. In your application, you actually have the same tools that to scale your application, like functional decomposition, horizontal duplication, and data sharing. In data sharing, you divide the data in order to be scalable and divide the possible points of failure in your application. In functional decomposition, you divide your systems by functionality. My most recommended tool for that will be domain-driven design, and the horizontal duplication will be a mean to scale, because when you divide your system, you could actually scale module by module in order to provide better response time to your implementations. What is the objective of do all of this? To implement a reactive application. In a reactive application, as I said previously, you have the traffic or a message-driven application that provides you metrics and decision points to enable elasticity to your application and resilience or fault tolerance. And the final result of dividing your application, providing good design points to your application, are responsive application. That's the final objective of creating a reactive application. Which are the tools? This one is in Spanish, but the tools in Spanish for me will be focus on reactive system, learn the 12 cloud native factor, learn the microservices and cloud native application design patterns, domain driven design, and just after that, implement these patterns and these solutions using a microservice chassis, a service mesh, or an orchestrator like Kubernetes. These are the slides. I hope to be more clear by showing the slides.
Yeah, that's awesome. Bruno says, great guide. Thanks. All right. Awesome. Now, there is a question here that both Mokhtar and also Christine asked it, right? And they're talking about, is there's for me to learn cloud native, for me to do anything in the cloud, I need to be in the cloud, right? So is there a good platform that we can use as a playground, right? Maybe preferably free, something that I can use to get started? Is there anyone that you suggest?
Okay, actually, there are some interesting tools that I will suggest. I don't work for any of these companies, so I am free to recommend everything suggestions. But to be clear, if you want to experiment with orchestration like Kubernetes or Docker Compose, they actually have tools that you could install in your computer. For instance, the Docker community provides Docker Desktop that is pretty good by using Docker Desktop in Mac or in Windows. Or in Linux, you can actually install all of this directly on your system. And for Kubernetes, you actually have like 3 or 4 options like Kind or Minikube. I do prefer Minikube for Linux and Mac because it isolates the environment in virtual machines that I could just destroy and recreate again. But if you really need to start to learn a cloud, I've reviewed many clouds, and many of the big providers have actually a lot of educational programs. For instance, Amazon, Microsoft, Oracle, and some other smaller clouds like Elastic, they all have these kind of programs in which you could sign up as a student, soon sign up as a free trial, and you will have like not infinite credit, but a good quantity of credits in dollars in which you could you could experiment with the platform. And Google Cloud also has this kind of programs. And yeah, that's a good start for this. Amazon and Oracle actually have this kind of free tiers. Oracle is pushing a lot the free tier for all, in which you could have a good development Kubernetes environment, serverless environment, databases in the cloud, and you could experiment this directly on Oracle Cloud. I also know that Amazon has this program. So if you go directly to the websites of the big cloud providers, you could actually find resources, educational resources, trials, and free-for-all trials. I especially like the offer from Oracle because they provide like 2 or 3 servers for free and without any compromises, and they simply work. But as I said, I am a consultant, so I do a lot of work in many of the clouds. So I've seen the implementation of this. And one of the things that I also like to emphasize about the cloud native community is that cloud native community is creating the standards. For instance, Kubernetes has a lot of standards and specifications in the ecosystem. And nowadays, and I also like it from Java. That's why I got into Java in the first place. All of these specifications allow you to learn Kubernetes by yourself, and actually after that, go to any cloud provider. Kubernetes and the deployment model is the same in Amazon, in Google, in Microsoft, and in Oracle. So I will say that a good start will be to experiment with Kubernetes, try yourself and improve your skills with Docker, and just after that, go to the specific resources to each of the cloud providers. That will be my role.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing because really the skills that you need to do things in the cloud, right, has a lot to do with containers, right? And you can run containers in your own computer, right? So when Victor is mentioned Docker or Kubernetes, you can run those stuff in your own laptop, right? So just having the experience, and it's completely free. You don't have to be actually running in the cloud itself. You don't have to be paying anything for anyone. And so you can. I do suggest that you get those skills in your own computer first, and understand how those things work, and that's going to make it a lot easier for you to move into the providers later on. So, Victor, actually talking about skills here, and there's a question from Elio that says, "What's the most important skill for a Java developer?" Right. So now we are getting. Actually, you can talk about cloud too, but what do you think is the most important skill for a developer those days?
Okay, I think that this will sound like a joke, but it actually isn't a joke. The most important skill to be a Java developer is actually to have a good understanding about Java. And let me elaborate in this response. If you compare the experience of Victor 10 years after he went off from college, Victor from 10 years ago, I have a different approach in learning things. When I was in college, I remember that Hibernate was just starting. Struts was the framework, the de facto framework to do web applications in Java. Spring was at that time just a Java Enterprise Edition framework. So my career as Java developer actually started by doing applications for Java 2 Mobile Edition that after that became Java Micro Edition. Mm-hmm. At that time, I remember that I worked for a provider of a big telephonic company from Spain, and I was a mobile developer. I started my career actually as a mobile developer for BlackBerry. I was doing a lot of applications for BlackBerry's implementation. Android was just starting, and we were considering the migration to some of these applications for Android. But the principal skill that helped me to survive, let's say, in this Java world was to prepare myself in the fundamentals of the platform. Yeah, for sure. I started by creating applications in Struts. After that, Struts is not the new thing. I will go to Java Server Faces. Java Server Faces is not the new thing. I will go to Prime Faces. But from framework to framework, I started to notice that the real skill that I needed was actually a good knowledge about Java as language. To understand, I have this whole map about which are the development styles that you will find in Java, the difference between imperative software development, declarative software development, and reactive software development. That is a new trend that has been popular in these years. You have actually to understand how to develop software properly. I had a professor in college that he actually created this idea in his class that all of the programming languages are equal. And for 2 or 3 years, I believed that was the right answer. But after experiencing a lot of different languages, I learned that actually Java is a specific platform. You don't have to focus just on the language, but the platform, and the platform is the basis for an ecosystem. The success of the Java platform or the Java ecosystem has been because many companies have been dedicating a lot of time by creating this basis for the ecosystem. So if you learn the Java platform, you will be acquiring skills in order to jump from the newest and hottest framework, or to actually create value in a legacy application, or to actually create the design of a new application. So to be clear, my recommendation is to develop your skills and receive training and train your deep Java knowledge in order to prepare yourself, not just to acquire an employment today, but to create applications in the future. And that's what I did after many years of trying and learn, and that worked better for me. The second skill, I will say, you have to join the community. The Java community is one of the most active communities in the world. Yeah, for sure, Java has been great in some development areas, has been better in another development areas. But the thing that makes Java a strong platform is the community. So if you join the community, if you join as participant, you join it by following the right people on Twitter, you join it by participating in open source, you could actually also develop your skills. If you combine the community with a good understanding on the platform, you will be actually to jump all around the frameworks, trends, and to have the right decision in order to create the applications. That's my advice in that area. I don't know, Bruno, what do you think?
No, that's great. Look, for me, I totally agree with you that you have to understand a lot about Java. Look, as a developer, I like to say there's the five top skills that we as developers that we have to think about, right? And you mentioned very well the three first ones, right? That you have to read code, write code, and deliver code, right? So you have to be very good in the language and the technology that you chose, because that's what makes you a developer. Now, for me, there's two other skills. One you mentioned, community, but I'm going to be a little bit more generic than you. But there's two other skills that I think are very important. First of all, is the skill of solving problems, right? I think that's what makes you a developer, is that you use code, you use the first three skills to solve problems. And I think that's a very, very important skill. And the one that you mentioned about the community, I totally agree with you. I talk a little bit more generic because I say sharing, right? It's not only about community, it's actually sharing, right? So once you share inside a community, or once you share, an open source project, or once you share in your company, right? Even if it's not like a external community, like an internal community inside your company, then what happens is that people start trusting what you're saying, right? Because you're the one sharing and they're learning from you. And I think this is really important. For me, this skill of sharing is the one that's going to get you growing your career the fastest, right? But that has everything to do with communities, right? Sharing inside a community or with a community, it's like that makes all the difference. And for you, Victor, you have built your career by building communities, right? So how has been for you this whole experience of building communities?
Okay, let's start in why I got into communities in the first place. When I was at college, I am from Guatemala, so my country is not a well-known country, let's say, for creating software. We all were known for creating coffee, for being closer to Mexico, if you know geography, but we are not having as our selling point creating software. Right. So when I was at college, I had this idea in which I started to know about open source by using Linux. Actually, the Linux movement in Guatemala started in the early years in the 90s, but Linux wasn't popular here in Guatemala. If we compare the information technologies ecosystem in my country, at that time in which I got into college, Linux wasn't a thing in the big enterprises here in Guatemala because, for different things. But when I joined the software development community in Linux, I actually did it because I didn't have a permanent internet connection. No, sounds funny, but at that year, it was expensive to have a 24/7 connection to the internet. So for most of the time, when I was trying to get into Linux to learn the internals about the operating system, I didn't have a connection to internet. So I joined a Linux user group. When I joined this Linux user group, I found the value in connecting with my peers, because these peers, I learned that after a couple of years, eventually will be the people that create the IT ecosystem in your area. So these people that I met at university nowadays are working in companies like PayPal, companies like Atos. A lot of consultancy companies come here to Guatemala, and they have the solutions for problems that I had at that time. and I have some solutions for the problems that they were experimenting. So I found that concept very powerful in order to create my knowledge. After that, I remember, and I remember this too much because I had an opportunity to do a bootcamp in software development that it was in Java. So I got into this software development bootcamp, and this bootcamp had a small issue. Guatemala is not a place where everybody talks English, as you could probably guess from my accent. But the thing is that this bootcamp was created and provided by the Embassy of India. So they offered us, hey, come here, learn Java, but you have to learn English too. So do your work in order to learn English, at least to understand the bootcamp training. And after that, we will teach you Java. So I did a lot of effort because this was basically.
So they help you twice, right? That's awesome,
Yeah.
because they force you to do on English and on Java at the same time. So that's awesome.
Yeah, in the long run, it was the right thing to do because they forced me to learn English. You know, I am from a city that is way in the interior areas of Guatemala. I am actually not from the capital city, so my connection with the ecosystem was very weak at the time. After I joined the Linux user groups and my first bootcamp on software development in Java, I recall that I joined the open source university meetups from Sun Microsystems. I think that's what my real bootstrap process in the communities. Because that's when I decided to go from participating in community to create communities. Because my idea at that age is that I really enjoyed developing software using Linux. That was my main motivation. I had like 21 years old, so your motivations are different from time to time. My motivation was, well, I want to work with Linux. I want to work with Java. I think this technology is cool. But in the reality, I'm not pretty sure if this technology will be successful in Guatemala because the environment was very different. So I recall thinking about it and saying, well, I will create the community. Otherwise, I will have to work in Microsoft Technologies. That was my thinking in that area. So I started with other people, the Open Source University meetup, and eventually the simple act of creating a community put me in a road in which I met a lot of important people in the Java community. I met people from my country that were actually providers from IBM, providers from Sun Microsystems, and they told me, "Well, Victor, the things that you're doing are cool. Why do you? Let's create a Java user group." And when I was starting my career in Java, we created this Java user group, and actually, as today is probably the oldest programming language user group here in Guatemala. So we created this in order to create an ecosystem to have jobs in Java, because we enjoyed Java, we enjoyed Solaris, we enjoyed Linux, and we want to show this to the world that we could do awesome things by using Java. The simple act of creating a community and, as you said, to share my knowledge actually gave me a lot of opportunities. You have to start somewhere, you know. And my first work, I actually, in my 10 years of career, I never did a work interview, you know, because most of the times my work here in Guatemala and outside Guatemala has been about references, previous reference that say, hey, Victor does this and does it good. Victor has this knowledge. I've seen a publication of Victor. I actually tell to people that once I publish a video on YouTube, and after that I was working to the biggest paint provider here in Central America, because one of the software architects of that company saw one of my videos and say, let's hire this guy. This guy seems to know what he's speaking about, so let's hire it. So yeah, that's the value of the community. I created it in order to provide value for the people. And I think that the most important skill to do networking is actually to provide value for the other ones, not to obtain things. You will eventually obtain things from the community. That's how it works. But if you join a community in order to share your knowledge, help in whatever you can do in the community, you are actually creating value, and you are doing the, in my opinion, most important action in order to do effective networking.
That's awesome, man. I love to hear the stories because it really shows the value of the community and the value, and the value of you putting the effort like you did. That's awesome. That's awesome. All right, so let me ask one thing. Now that you're building community, you're now building this great event that's going to happen next week, TDC, the Developers Conference, right? So you are the coordinator of the Java track, right? So
Yeah.
how is going to be the Java track next week? Because that's the question from Mokhtar. He says, where can I learn Java, right? So how about coming to the TDC event next week? So how is going to be the Java track next week?
Okay, one of the interesting things about getting into the community is that actually you get a lot of opportunities to learn, and you have to focus in three things. You have to focus in acquiring formal knowledge by using books, by using tutorials, by using courses. You have to focus on developing your social skills, because that's important. But you actually have to join events in which you could meet your peers. You probably don't know it today, but if you join an event, and most importantly, you participate actively, you will join and connect with a lot of people. These people could be probably your next client, your next friend, your next work peer, because most of the times the IT sector works like that. They will tell you, oh, my company is using Spring. Please put attention to this presentation. Oh, my company is using Quarkus. We are doing a migration to Red Hat. Please put attention to this presentation. So when you find an event, you have to participate actively. And that's the thing that I like from TDC. I've been nowadays in a lot of events all over the world because Java gave me that opportunity. As I said, I am a guy from Guatemala, and I joined the Java community. I am actually participated in a lot of events. But I think that TDC is very special because it retains that kind of community spirit. And TDC, most of the coordinators are from the community, and they look for content by the community. We have some internal...
all of them. Not most. Yeah, because TDC, each track is run by several coordinators from different communities. Yeah, so that's great.
Yeah, that's a good thing because, this TDC International Edition, I think this is actually the second international edition. The TDC organization invited a lot of people from the community in order to say, please, Victor, please, Helmiro, please, Maria, please tell us what is the value that Java is creating for your career, for your implementation, and for your architectures. You are the people that is into that community. You are the people that is creating applications. So I think that we don't have no one better than the community in order to define the track. So when you join TDC, I joined TDC as assistant, as attendee, as a speaker, and now as coordinator. You're actually in that spirit. You will join an event in which the coordinators have discussed about what is going on in the Java ecosystem, also in the other tracks, what is going on in the cloud ecosystem, in the microservices ecosystem, in the artificial intelligence ecosystem, and what do we think that people will need in the next year, in the next months, because we have faced the same issues. You don't have to forget that we are also developers. You see me here speaking with Bruno, but on my daily basis, I am doing trainings with speakers, trainings with software developers. I am actually developing software. So TDC is the reunion of a lot of opinions about community, about the issues that you will find, and a lot of content that is focused on that issues. So in the track of Java, we did a previous discussion about, please think as an attendee. What do you need to learn in order to be relevant in Java during the next year? And that's we define it the grade. And probably that's the methodology that most of the communities are using to define their tracks. So that's a lot of work because, as you probably know, Java has a lot of tools, a lot of things going on. But we could actually pick just 8 presenters. So we think we did a well-balanced presentations grid. And the second advice that I could give you is please come and join us in TDC.
Right. So let me share our screen here, and we can talk a little bit more about this because Mokhtar has another question. But while I'm doing this, Ronnie is saying great advice. I think for your previous point, because so let me quickly show you guys here the page for TDC because I want to answer Mokhtar's question here. All right, so yeah, so this is the registration page for the TDC event, right? And I'm gonna put before I show the page. Let me just put the link here in the chat. So in the chat, I'm gonna do two things. I'm gonna put the link for the page, right? The page I'm showing you right now, but also I'm also gonna put a discount coupon right there. Right, and let me show you here. Now, when you go here for the registration page, you're gonna see the 6 tracks in English, right? That TDC has tracks in Portuguese, and those are here. Here you're gonna see the content in English, right? So there's a lot of things going on at the event. We have all those tracks here in English, and you see this black track here, right? The stadium. So the stadium is composed of one talk from each one of the tracks here, right? So, if you register for what we call the basic pass, right, you get access to this like one talk from each track. So that's completely free, Mokhtar. So yes, I suggest you to come to this page and you register for it, and because you have a lot of English content completely free, and it's like 3 days of events completely free of content for you. Now, if you want to go deeper, right, you can register for a specific track. Like, for example, Victor is the coordinator of the Java track, but we also have data, artificial intelligence, agile, APIs and microservices, cloud and DevOps. So you have all those tracks. So you can go deeper and focus on a specific track, right? And that's what we call the premium pass, right? Your premium pass, you choose a specific track for you to join. Now, we also have what we call the Connect Pass, right? The Connect Pass gives you access to all 6 tracks, right? So you can come and you can watch everything that you want. And so if you come down here and get your ticket, and you can come and, let me just copy this promo code right there. So you can come here and you can use this promo code that I paste on the chat, right? And I'm going to paste it here so you can also use here. You can see here in the chat, you can come here, enter promo code. So first of all, you can come to the basic pass. It's completely free, right? So just add basic pass and register for free. But if you put the promo code here and apply it, what's going to happen is that you're going to get a 25% discount on anything that you buy here, right? So any track that so instead of instead of $30, you're going to be $20, right? Each track, right? So it's pretty reasonable price. But the important thing is if you can get here and you can choose any track you want to participate and you can get that. But here's my gift for you, right? Not only I'm giving you the free code, a discount code, but I'm going to give an extra gift to you. If you apply this discount code, TDCYYB202, if you apply this discount code, 25% discount, and you buy the Connect Pass, that means you have access to all the tracks. It's a pretty reasonable price. Like, with the discount, it's going to be $60. That's pretty reasonable. So if you buy the Connect Pass, not only you get 25% discount, but I'm going to give you my training. I have a training that's called the Skill Mastery System. It's a $97 training that helps you get the right skills for your career. And so if you buy the Connect Pass, not only going to get 25% discount, but you're going to get a $97 training completely free included in that. But you have to apply this code here because that's my code. So that's the one I know. If you get with that code, I can give that. But you say, but Bruno, I already bought the Connect Pass without discount. Well, if you did that and you are here, listen to this, send me an email, show me that you bought the account, and I'll give you the training anyway, right? So just so you know, you can get one pass, right? You can get to the Java track and participate in all the content that Victor created for you for $22, right? Or you can spend a little bit more, get access to all of the tracks all the 6 tracks and also get a training, a $97 training for me for free. I'll include it in this thing, right? So, and agree because I totally agree with Victor, right? Once you participate on events, that's so great because you meet people, you get to meet your peers, you get to understand what's the future of your technology. You get to meet Victor there in the event because even though it's an online event, right? It's a very interactive event where you can talk to people, you can do networking. It's not only watch content, right? It's a very, very interactive event. So you can participate there, you can meet Victor, you can meet other coordinators, and use all of that to help your career to grow. All right, so I just put in the chat the discount coupon and also also the link for you to register if you want to register and you want to get use this promotion that I'm giving you right now. Okay, so Victor, when is going to be the Java track next week?
Okay, I think you could share also the schedule, or I can share it. Yeah. So I want to explain a little bit about the schedule.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Okay, let me open it here.
So while you share the schedule there, Mokhtar says, I'm just a student, right? So yeah, that's great, Mokhtar. So I think that you're a student, so take benefit from the fact that you have a free pass for TDC. And the good thing about the free pass, Mokhtar, is the following, right? Is because you have one presentation from each track, right? So that means you have access to a little bit of everything, right? And so there's a lot of great content there for free for you. So for you as a student, right, it's going to be great because then you have a general overview of everything that's going on in the technology world right now, and so that's going to be great for you. So go ahead, Victor.
Okay, so the interesting part about this track is that we focus in all levels of knowledge. Conferences have a special purpose. I think the first purpose about the conference is to meet your peers. The second objective about going on a conference is to actually update your current knowledge about what is going on in the ecosystem, to know new tools, to improve and share your ideas with your peers. Mm-hmm. And the third objective in which you will be interested in a conference is to actually deep dive in a topic and finally ask to the presenter about an actual issue that you have. So it's about sharing with your peers to understand better or to get a grasp in new tools. And finally, to apply that knowledge and ask about an actual issue that you are having in your current work. So with that in mind, we created a track that covers all of the Java knowledge levels. This track will be at June 8th. Actually, my birthday, so I will be celebrating my birthday.
That's awesome.
That's the way that I chose to celebrate my birthday. And with that in mind, created a grid in which you will have knowledge about basic Java understanding in order to level up your knowledge with the current trends in the language, because the Java from 2004 is not the same Java of 2021. Java has been evolving a lot. It's actually an interesting time to be a Java developer. So we are starting with leveling up your Java knowledge. After that, we will right away in an interesting topic for experienced Java developers about how to diagnose and fix production code. Bipin, as you probably know, if you have been participating in this webinar series, he actually was also with Google. He contributes a lot to OpenJDK. So we picked this presentation in order to describe the internals about the Java Developer Kit, the Java virtual machine, and how to diagnose the issues. After that, we go straight into trends. We have Jonathan from Spain. He will be speaking about Quarkus and the new trends about how to create applications and enterprise applications using new ecosystem. And after that, we go I think I have an issue with the connection.
Don't worry, we can hear you.
Okay.
That's fine. Just keep
Okay.
going.
So after that, we have the specifics. I think I will put the grid in the chat also. You could go and see different point of views about the Java ecosystem. What is going on with Java with the NoSQL movement? What is going on with Java and newer trends in architecture? And most importantly, we will have a panel that is named "When is Java and why is or isn't the best tool for the job?" So if you want to decide if Java is your thing and you want to build a career in Java, this is your panel, because we invited a lot of good speakers, many Java champions in the Java ecosystem, in order to participate in the Java panel and to describe you from field experiences what is going on with Java. So as I said again, come and join us in TTC because we have a lot of content to share with you.
That's awesome, man. Awesome. Congratulations. That's great. Look, it's going to be your birthday on the 8th, right? And so can you tell us who's going to be the keynotes for the Java track on the 8th?
Oh,
do you know who it
is? Okay, that was also a surprise, but the creator of Java will be on the keynote. So, that's difficult to... I cannot think in another person besides James Gosling in order to speak about Java and careers. So if you want to meet one of the principal Java creators, he will be actually the keynote of the Java and also on the event. So James Gosling will be joining us and speaking about what he has been doing in these last years and about Java, of course.
That's awesome. Yes. So James Gosling is going to be there. And by the way, to participate in the keynotes, right, it's completely free, right? So if you're interested in hearing from James Gosling, the creator of Java, if you look, there's how can I say that, right? It's free, right? So there's no reason for you to not come to see the creator of Java talking about Java next week on the 8th, right? So I just put the link once more in the chat. Let me actually get the link here for everyone else on all the other platforms, right? And kind of put the link here on all the other platforms also again, so people can take a look, right? So yeah, join us next week, right? So Victor, I'm still showing here that you're trying to present something. Can you you're still trying to present for some reason?
No.
It's not showing.
No. I think it's an issue with.
Yeah, can you try to present again or stop present or something?
Okay, I will share again.
Yeah, try to share again and see what happens.
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah, okay. Now I can see again. Awesome. Now I can stop sharing and see if we get back. So now I would recommend all of you to join us next week. And yeah, I don't know what's going on. Anyways, hopefully people can still see us. But anyway, hopefully you can join us next week. So Victor, we're a little bit past the hour here, and you had so many great things to say. I didn't want to cut you, but I think we answered all the questions now. So is there anything that I did not ask you that I should have asked you that you want to share with us?
Well, most of the times, I have a final suggestion in my presentations. Is that
cool.
When you are developing a software development career, let's be a little bit redundant, you have to focus on providing value. You have to focus on providing value with your software. You have to focus on providing value with your community. You have to focus on providing value with blog posts, YouTube channels, social networks. And the simple act of providing value to a community, to your work, to your clients, it will be eventually returning to you with more opportunities. Mm-hmm. So if we shared a lot of ideas today, but I will emphasize also the Bruno's idea. If you have to do one tip to improve your development career, it will be share
Yeah, look, I totally, look, I really, the Americans have this phrase that I like a lot. That's pay it forward, right? So no, when someone helped you, you just go help someone else, right? So I think that once you share, it gives, like you said, it brings the result back to you, but it also creates this chain reaction of people sharing and helping others that I think it lifts everyone up. And I think that's a great way of doing things. So congratulations for doing this, Victor. Thanks very very much for you for being here, for taking time to talk with us. And all of you here, please go follow Victor on Twitter, right? Not only that, you have his site here on the screen, vorozco.com, vorozco.com. I'm gonna put also here on the chat, right? So you all can go there and and follow Victor there, right? Because this is a great guy. He's very accessible, as you can see, right? He's very accessible. He's participating in lots of communities, and so thanks a lot, Victor. It was totally an honor to have you here with us. Yes, that's great. Yes, maybe not this year, but next year, right? Yeah, awesome. Victor, one thing I need, I'm not sure if you know that, but I do have family in Costa Rica, right? And I have and, and I have and I have and I have a good friends in Panama, right? So I need to do a tour, right? I need to go to Guatemala, Costa Rica, Panama, right, and go visit all of you guys there because I have lots of friends there. Awesome. Thanks, man. Thanks so much. Okay, so everyone else, thanks everyone for the questions. Doesn't matter where you are participating. If you are here at the event with us, or if you are on Twitter, or on LinkedIn, or Facebook, whatever you're watching this. Thanks very much for all of you. And remember, we're still gonna have these meetings until Friday, right? Where we're gonna have lots of different discussions. So thanks a lot, Elio. Thanks, Mukhtar. Thanks everyone that has any questions. Thanks a lot, everyone. But Victor, I'm not sure if you have any extra time, but once we finish here, we can go to the lounge and have a conversation on the tables in the lounge. Would you be up for that? All right. Okay. So if you want to talk directly with Victor, there's gonna be a lounge, and basically the way it works, right? You just go to the lounge, and there's lots of tables there. You just see the table that Victor sat down, and you click on a chair and sit down with him, and you can have a conversation. And I'll also be there for a little bit. Okay. Thanks, everyone.